Hello, and welcome to my spring/summer physical TBR. I'm kind of more of a mood reader. I also usually only read maybe 3 to 4 books per month. I do like to read books kind of based off the season. Um, and so May is still kind of springy, but then we're going into summer. And so these are the books that are on my physical TBR that I want to read. The first book is Hot Wax by ML Rio. So, full disclosure, I did already read about 20% of this book and then put it on a soft DNF just because I wasn't fully in the mood to read this when I was picking it up. I kept dreading picking it up, which obviously is not good. However, I will say what I did read, I did enjoy. This book, you're following 2 different timelines, which I did not know that at first. They're called the A side and the B side, and you are following Susan as a child and kind of the upbringing that she had while her father was trying to make it big as a rock star, and then the other side is his death that brings up this mission for Susan to want to try and uncover why her childhood ended up the way it did because of her father's fame, I guess would be the best way to describe it. When I was reading this, I kept picturing they were out in a desert, which I don't think they are, if I remember correctly. I don't know. I don't remember. I do just remember, like, this gave me peak summer vibes. Like, the way everything was being described to me, I felt like it was a summer dream or summer haze kind of feeling. And so that's why I want to read this book. The next book I want to read is The House with the Golden Door by Elodie Harper. So this is the second book, which comes after The Wolf Den. I don't actually know if this series has a name or if they just go by the names of the book, but you're following a character, Amara, and her life after the Wolf Den. So in the Wolf Den, we're following Amara, who has been sold by her mother because her father has passed away and they no longer have the money to live as free women. And so Amara gets sold to the Wolf Den, which is a prostitution house. So she describes her life of wanting freedom and also what her life was like prior to being sold to the Wolf Den, just because she was of wealthy descent. Her father was a doctor before he passed, and so she's treated very differently just because of her previous status. And that book kind of ends on a cliffhanger to an extent. It's not like a huge cliffhanger, but sets you up for this book. And so I'm really excited to see where Amara goes in this series. I am very curious because the last book was split up by months, and so it'd be like, oh, sorry, this is January and this is April, and then it was December. And so I'm very curious if this book is going to follow the same plot line. Well, I guess I shouldn't say plot line, but same setup where it follows into different months. Just overall, the book to me feels very springy. Even though I did end in December, I still took most part of that book in spring to summer before the end. And so I'm really want to carry on with this series as soon as possible, honestly. And I am looking forward to seeing what else goes on in Amara's life. Okay, so the next book that I have on this TBR is Detour by Jeff Rake and Rob Hart. I picked this up actually after I finished In the Quick by Kate Hope Day. I've learned that I do like sci-fi, but I like it especially when it's related to space and astronauts and rocket ships, things like that. And in this novel, we're following our main character, Ryan, who is a seemingly regular civilian, until he saves this man, and the man offers him a trip to Saturn's moon Titan. He is kind of reluctant to go just because it is supposed to be a 2-year expedition, but he does go on it. And whenever him and the crew return, they have found that life has changed and some of it has stayed the exact same. And so they're trying to figure out how much they want their old life compared to this new life. And that's not a spoiler, that's literally all it says in the front of the page, like over here. Because at the end it says, separated and suspicious, the crew must uncover the truth and decide how far they're willing to go to return to their normal lives. Just when their space adventure seemingly ends, it shockingly begins. I'm trying to go into this kind of not knowing that much, if I'm being completely honest. I find that I have a lot better of a time with sci-fis when I don't really know what's happening, just because otherwise I'm going to start comparing it to things that I already know about. I mean, I don't know a lot, but based off of what I know of, like, man going to the moon and the expectations with that, rather than just reading a sci-fi and letting the story tell me what's going on, if that makes sense. So trying to go into this blind. I have a few other ones that I also am trying to go into relatively blind. So if I seem like I'm being very vague, it is because I'm trying to be blind when I go into it. The next book that I have is The Leavers by Lisa Ko. I believe that's how you say the name. I might end up butchering how to say that, and I'm so extremely sorry. This story is another one I don't know too much about. I'm trying to be relatively vague, but based off of the back, we're following two characters, Polly and Deming Gao. Polly is his mom, and she is an undocumented Chinese immigrant who goes to her job one day and then never returns. And he eventually gets adopted, and they rename him Daniel. And the story kind of follows him trying to understand his life and kind of figure out what happened, just because he does remember his mother and the community and culture that he was growing up in. And then it also says the mother learns to live with the mistakes of their past. So I am very curious. It says that it also takes place in New York and China. So very curious as how that's going to work. Let's see. Also, I will say the font on here, I don't know if you can tell, is very, like, the font is regular, but it feels like it comes really close to the margins at the top and the bottom compared to, let's see, I have The Naturals here by Jennifer L. Barnes, and, like, see how that font looks compared to this font. Oh, probably doesn't help when I'm at the beginning of a chapter, huh? Like that. So they're really trying to squeeze in everything they can on these pages. So I am very curious. I think this is more, yeah, it's literary fiction. It's a genre that I'm trying to get more into. Same thing with The House with the Golden Door. I believe this is also literary fiction or historical fiction is the two primary categories that goes in. So that is the next book, The Leavers by Lisa Ko. Since I already showed you, I also have The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is another one. I think these are considered thrillers, young adult thriller. Another one, trying to go into blind. The only thing I do know is that there's a 17-year-old named Cassie. Apparently she has a gift, and the FBI want to kind of recruit her to what is called the Naturals. And they are a group of teens that all have a gift, and they are trying to solve homicides with their gifts, and then apparently when a new killer strikes, danger looms close, and they have to use their gifts to survive. I think that would be really interesting. I like to read some thrillers when I'm sitting out like by the pool or at the beach. I think that they're really fun and easy to read. I'm also very interested, since this is a YA, just because I have learned that I don't love YAs as much anymore, at least not like YA romance. So I'm hoping that I can still like a YA thriller, just because I don't know if you can see it, but I do like a YA fantasy. So I'm hoping it's the same for the thriller. I have been looking forward to this. I do also have the Inheritance games, and I have yet to read that. So we're going to read this, see if I like it. If I love this, then maybe I will pick up the Inheritance games. This is another book that I had started and then stopped. I think I got to about 15, maybe 20% of this book. And this is The Traitor Baru Cormorant by Seth Dickinson. This is a sci-fi book, and it follows Baru and how the Empire of Mass comes and takes over her land, or her island, I mean. They rewrite her culture and then criminalize her customs, but instead of immediately rebelling, she decides to join the Masquerade, which is the Empire of Mass kind of, I guess army would be the right word, or forces, to learn about their secrets and learn how to free her people. But at the same time, she's sent to another place, which is called Ardwin, and they kill everyone that tries to rule the land. And so we're kind of seeing both of those. There is a small subplot of romance in this. Um, where I was at, there wasn't anything yet, because the book does start out with Baru being really young, and then we see Baru grow older as time goes on. I want to say she was about maybe 12 ish. I thought it was on the first page, but she's really young, and then we start to see her kind of go through this school setting to become part of the Masquerade, and they train her there. So I thought this was really interesting. This is a book that I did pick up based off the cover. Um, Again, I want to read this just because when I did read it, they're on an island. She sails a lot. I don't know why, but I get really heavy summer vibes from this, even though it is like a sci-fi, and I feel like a lot of people usually associate like sci-fi and fantasy with winter or fall season, but this one I am reading it as like a spring summer vibe. We have Heavenly Bodies by Imani Eru. I think is how you say her last name. I'm really not sure. I had bought this whenever it very, very first came out, and then I saw it got really, really big on Book Talk. And if I'm being completely honest, I don't really remember what it's about, other than she gets told like a prophecy or something that says that if she falls in love with a star, it'll kill them both. And so she's kind of like on the run whenever these stars come to her. Let's see. Yeah, they wreak havoc on her kingdom. She flees her home. Let's see. Star-crossed pool. Neither of them can seem to resist. So, don't really know what's going on. I tried to avoid as much as I could on this book just because I didn't want to get spoiled on it. But I am very interested on it. Next, we have Miss Emily Henry's Book Lover. Obviously, I feel like everyone that wants to read a romance will pick up an Emily Henry in the summer. I know that's where I started reading her first, was last summer. I picked up Beach Read. Wasn't my favorite. I think I gave it like 3 to 4 stars, but I really liked her writing, and so then I picked up Happy Place, and I loved Happy Place. Gave it absolutely full 5 stars. Loved the story, loved the plot line of it, had loved all of it. And so Then I picked up Book Lover, but by the time that I picked this up, summer was kind of coming to an end and work was really picking up for me, so I never got to read it. So now I'm going to read this. And we're following Nora, who works at a literary agent. She works as a literary agent, sorry. And she also has her little sister. Her little sister begs her to go on a girls' trip. And there she meets Charlie, who is an editor. And I think they end up falling in love. So we have this. This one I probably will read more like June, if we're being honest. I like to read my romances more like full summertime than I do any other time. And last but not least, we have Throne of Glass as well as The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. I think I'm going to read The Assassin's Blade first. I know there's a lot of controversy on which order to read this in. From what I have seen, if I read this one first, I get a more emotional connection to Selena, the main character. But I will say this is 5 short novellas set prior to Throne of Glass. So I think what my plan is I might read the first novella, and if I feel like I'm learning way too much and would rather read Throne of Glass first, I think I'm going to do a soft DNF, pick this up, and then read this. I can't remember if it said third or after the third book, but I think that is my plan, is to read this first. If I feel like it's too much, then we'll switch to this. If you don't know what this is about, we are following Selena, who is an assassin who gets summoned to a castle, and she has to fight in these competition to be released from the prison and then serve as the king's champion. However, her competitors do start randomly dying, and so she takes it upon herself to investigate what is exactly going on, and so her fight for freedom then turns into a fight for survival instead. So, definitely am looking forward to these. I am very nervous. I don't know why these feel like more summer reads to me. I don't know what it is, because when I read A Court of Thorns and Roses too, for me the entire series all took place in like spring summer vibes. And so I think I'm just getting the same vibes with this. I'm gonna laugh when I start reading these and then I'm like, oh, this is totally like dead center of winter reads. But I kind of want to pick it up now because I think by the time that I get to the bigger, larger books and like the tandem read, will hopefully be later in the year when work is slowing down for me, just because we do kind of pick up in the summertime and then slow back down again around holidays. So trying to get to the bigger books by the holidays. But that is all of the books that are on my spring/summer TBR. I definitely cannot hold them all. But to recap, we have Hot Wax by ML Rio, The House with the Golden Door by Elodie Harper, Detour by Jeff Rake and Rob Hart, The Assassin's Blade and Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, Book Lovers by Emily Henry, Heavenly Bodies by Mani Arrow, I still don't know how to say the last name, The Traitor Bar Cormorant by Seth Dickinson, The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and The Leavers by Lisa Coe. So that is it. That is my TBR that hopefully I will be pulling from, and you'll see in some videos. I think the next video that I'm going to be posting is kind of like a mood reading. So maybe I will pick one of these up. Maybe I won't. Who knows? But if you have any other book suggestions or any ideas on what we should record next, leave them down below and just have a great rest of your day.